Right, so this is Special Forces Season 4, Episode 1 review. And because there's so many recruits, they don't show us all the passes and fails. Actually, this time they didn't even hint. I think it was last season, they even asked the recruits, okay, how many of you passed? How many of you failed? And then punished them by making them, I think, do push-ups or something. But anyway, they let you know in a roundabout way who passed and who failed. This time, we had no clue. So their first task was they were split up into 2 teams. And the way they split them up was really devious. They're upping their game on the deviousness. I guess they figure, okay, we have to mix things up because they know they're going to get ambushed. They have an idea of what's going to happen. So they have to make a twist. And this time it was while they still had the bags over their heads, they were split up into 2 teams. And I assume they split them up based on what they felt was going to make things harder for the recruits. Like Shawn Johnson said that, she gets that toughness mentality when she's alone, meaning without her husband. Whereas Teresa, she said that, or actually it's Gia who said that how much her mother relies on her. So, of course, put Shawn Johnson with her husband, Andrew East, split up the mother and daughter. So, yeah, that makes sense. They're trying to get into their heads. That's the whole point of this show. Like I said, they didn't concentrate on everybody. There were plenty of people where my mom was annoyingly asking me, who's that? Who's that? Because apparently, and admittedly, she is a foreigner, but she's been in this country over 50 years. How do I know it's over 50? I'm 54. I was born in this country. Ergo. So, she should be able to read. It says internet personality. How the hell should I know what that means? So, anyway. So they concentrated on just a few people. So either these people are going to crash and burn, like Brittany ended up leaving after the first day, which I was reading some articles, and she's embarrassed. She really didn't want to be the first one out. Probably because her ex said that she would be out soon, that she wouldn't last long. And of course, since he's her ex, she probably wants to prove him wrong. So I was rooting for her. There's only one person so far this season that, if he ends up crying or struggling or even leaving, I'd be fine with it. And that's Cody. Because what the hell, dude? But what would you expect from someone on a show called Sister Wives? That kind of gives that icky misogynist vibe to it. So the fact that he actually said something sexist, which admittedly he knew it was sexist, so at least he's self-aware about his sexism, which is refreshing. However, he is annoying, and he got annoying very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. Telling people, oh, you should do this, you should do... He even did that in front of staff, and staff are like, shut up. That's our jobs. Do your own thing. It's like, all right, dude. And he even said, I don't want to be loved, I want to be respected. I'm sorry. Did you expect you would get respected on this show? Again, I wondered, have any of these people watched any of the previous seasons? With that, same thing with Jussie Smollett, this idea of, I don't like being disrespected. I'm sorry. What show did you think you were signing up for exactly? At least he didn't pull a Stephen Baldwin and, pretend to be injured, and hoping that the doctor will deem him, unable to continue, as opposed to having to out and out quit because, he's just doesn't want to be seen as lesser than, I guess, for quitting on the first day, even though he quit. So yeah, at least Jussie is so far toughening it out. He's still talking about the episode that basically disgraced him. He's treating it as he didn't lie, that people just see him as a liar, but that's not what happened. So either A, he is so caught up in his own lie that he's believing it, which that happens, or the rest of the world got it so very wrong, which I'm not sure how that could happen because it was investigated. And this was in Chicago. This isn't exactly a hotbed of bigotry. So anyway. So yeah. Him and Cody were like, we want to be respected. It's like, are you sure you're on the right show? Because these guys do not give two shits about whether you want to be respected or not. I mean, they will praise you. They will most likely verbally abuse you, but they might praise you on occasion. But, yeah, you're not going to be getting, head pats saying, good boy, you did a good job. No, that isn't this show. So, and Jussie clocked that Cody knew exactly who he was. And I don't know who he was with, but she's like, oh, maybe it was just because it's an unusual name. It's like, nah, you knew who I am. And yeah, you could tell from Cody's reaction, he 100% knows who Jussie Smollett is. So Brittany was, there were a couple of people who were having a hard time getting out of the helicopter. I feel sorry for Nick because everybody else is just standing up, not necessarily straight, but standing up while standing on the, on the, what is that thing called on the helicopter? Jesus Christ, my brain is not working. Anyway, I cannot word. But anyway, and he has to, be in a crouch instead of standing up because he's too damn tall. He would probably be taken out by the rotators. Which, yeah. So, plus, he's a smiley kind of guy, and the staff don't take kindly to smiley, happy people. So, yeah. So he was, already verbally abused greatly. Jussie is getting verbally abused. Teresa is getting verbally abused. At least she seems to be handling it, but, She comes from the Real Housewives franchise. So she would have problems if she had a problem with being verbally abused, because that's all any of those girls do on any of the franchises, is at least verbally, if not physically, abuse each other. So there is that. So, but everyone did the helicopter thing. Everyone, some had problems, some didn't, like I said, because there's so many recruits. We didn't see everybody. So definitely the people we have not seen are probably safe. That you knew that, okay, they're not going to get rid of someone who you didn't even really meet, that they didn't mention much. So you knew those people were okay, but you don't know who passed, you don't know who failed, because as we know about this show, it's about your mental toughness, what you feel you can do. How far can you go? How much misery can you endure? And that's why in my preview, when I revealed the cast, I mentioned the emotional support family. Because maybe they both would be fine alone, because they were on separate teams, but they were still in their vicinity. So even though they were talking to each other and the staff had to remind them, yeah, you're on different teams. Don't help each other. So they had to pick up sandbags and jerry cans. And there was a race between Alpha and Beta, Alpha and Bravo, to see who would win. And I'm like, okay, it just depends on who has the most muscle. I will admit, the one person I did not expect to huff and puff and hold his shoulder like he has a separated shoulder, which I was honestly expecting him, especially when he got back, to go to the doctor to make sure his shoulder isn't separated or something. Or towards the end, there would be this, yeah, he's going to quit the beginning of next episode. But he seems to be fine. Cody was annoying him. He's like trying to cool down, after they're in the car, trying to, just recover from the pain, do his own thing, because, he's a former athlete. He kind of knows how to do that stuff. And Cody just will not shut the hell up. It's like, dude, what is wrong with you? The man asked you to leave him alone. He wants to recover on his own. And Cody's just like, I really like quarterbacks. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me? Shut up. I really, really hope that he struggles at some point. Or, since next episode is the episode of the boxing, maybe someone will beat the stuffing out of him, because Jesus Christ, shut up. Not only is he acting like he's, holier than thou, that he knows everything about special forces, despite being 57. And Billy had the most weird reaction. He's like, fuck. Aren't you 57? Isn't he your age? Why? Anyway. So Johnny was having the worst time. He said he couldn't breathe. And they brought him in for questioning. And he's like, I've never had this happen before. I do not know what's going on. I'm not going to psychoanalyze him. obviously 32 is not 23. When well, actually, he hit his heyday when he was a freshman. So I'm not going to psychoanalyze him, but it's possible that he has some sort of, not exactly trauma, but some sort of PTSD, some sort of trauma from that whole ordeal, which he ended up washed up before he really got started. All because he believed in the press releases, because he won the Heisman and, decided that this is the pinnacle. I don't have to do anything anymore. I can, be a partier and, slack off because, well, what do I have to work for? Anyway, so yeah, he's having issues. So he is not going to be long for this competition. It's just a matter of how far he gets, because the next competition is, next episode is boxing. You kind of need your arm for that. So we'll see how his shoulder holds up. So the others had to run home, and by the time they get there, they all are in the parade square, and they think after they are let go that they're done. Again, did nobody who signs up for this show, do they never watch previous episodes? Forget watching SAS Who Dares Wins in the UK. Do they watch any of this show? Because you know that it's not over after the second task. Usually they have something. Especially on the first day, they do the bee sting. So, yeah. And like I said, you heard a little bit from Sean and her husband Andrew, but for the most part, you didn't see much of them. So, they're going to be fine. I'm really thinking that next episode, if Johnny doesn't drop out, he's going to at least visit the medic. Because if his shoulder is bothering him, I mean, the man is a quarterback. He knows that separated shoulders are a thing. So I would think he would actually get that checked out. It was as they were running home, Brittany decided that she couldn't do it anymore. Like I said, I feel bad for the girl. Never heard of her, but who cares? This show is such that you have to act pretty bad on it to get me to say, either I didn't like you from before, or you did something to get me to dislike you now. Like, I know that Teresa, I think she went to prison. I can't remember why. I don't care. So, this is a clean slate. But, for the most part, I'm not going to root against you. Cody is a different case. I appreciate that he is aware of his sexism. However, if you're aware of it, why let the whole world know about it? But anyway, so they do the bee sting, and I'm like, okay, the athletes are going to do well with this, except for Johnny. Because Johnny has already shown that he has issues. And the man's only 32. It's not like, you know, he did say that he usually just plays golf all day, which kind of, tells you how little athletic ability golf is. Even though golfers are trying to convince the public that, that they're athletes, no. I mean, you're obviously not. You do work muscles. It's not like you do nothing all day. It's not like you're couch potatoes, but anyway. So, yeah, Johnny's having issues. So either he's going to, find a next level, which athletes are very good at doing, or he's going to, peace out, which is also possible because the man is hurt. I don't know why he's hurt. He should literally go to the medic to find out what's happening because it could be some psychological, but it's probably more likely it's physical because, again, shoulder. Let's see, who did I not talk? Gia, when I look at her on occasion, she looks like a child. And then I see she's 24, I'm like, oh, she's barely over being a child. So it was Gia and Teresa that they showed Nick. So yeah, it's a matter of how many of these people that they're showcasing are not going to survive and how many they're building up to win this thing. Because why else would they showcase them already? Now, in the next episode, we're seeing the classic, submerging them in a vehicle. And then they have to climb out. And there's the boxing. Now, I didn't catch who has a broken nose. Unfortunately, that means that person's probably not continuing after next episode, which is why I find it interesting that they put that in the trailer, because they're basically giving away, unless for some reason she continues. But I find that hard to believe, because if you have a broken nose, they're not going to let you continue. So, yeah. Let's see if there's anyone I missed. Let's see. I pretty much covered it. That there's that one, I think she's a model, Chanel. She was surprised when they got in, and it's like, oh, they're probably going to have us do more stuff. And she's like, it all in one day? It's like, again, do not watch the show before you sign up for it. Because, yeah, they do the bee sting on the first day. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else. I think I've covered everything I wanted to this episode. So with that, I will see you guys in the next episode.